Alright guys, so since we just went over drifting, basically single drifting, now we're gonna take it up a notch and learn chain drifting, okay? So chain drifting is pretty much you're drifting one direction and then you're going to chain it the opposite direction, and which lets you sustain the same drift meter. So you can swing your drift back and forth while maintaining the same drift meter, okay? So that way you don't have to release each small drift you do on a straightaway. So here we go. So what you do is I'm going to start out like I did on the previous, where I'm going to drift to the right and then I'm going to drift to the left, okay? But I'm going to do it all in one session. So right drift, left drift. See, I sustain the same meter. Now the way to do that is it's very similar to snapping back, where you straighten out. Only instead of tapping your drift button, you got to press and hold it. So when you're doing your first drift, you press the right and you press the drift button. You want to press the opposite direction and then let go and repress your drift button, but hold it so that way it'll let it swing the other direction. Okay, so right drift button hold, left drift button hold, right drift button hold, and then you can straighten out. Okay, it's really that simple. I remember seeing another tutorial, and I'm not really criticizing it, it's just the way it sounded. They made it sound like if you hold the drift button the whole time, you can swing your car left and right. No, you have to actually let go and repress the drift button if you're going to move it to a different direction, okay? Because if you just hold the button down to the right and then I press left, it's still just going to do the whole regular straighten out. It re-kicks the new direction every time you repress the drift button. So right drift button, left repress drift button, hold it, right repress hold, left repress hold, right repress hold, okay? Now, something to take note. Something to take note is there is a delay in the drift meter. So when you're building your drift, or when you're doing your drift and you are building your meter, when you chain it to the other direction with the same meter, there's a slight delay. So when it's in the middle of straightening out, it stops building the meter until you hit the other direction, and then it starts rebuilding, or it continues, okay? So right drift, meter's building, left it stops and then it's starting, right it stops, then it starts, left it stops, then it starts, see? So that's something you got to understand, that there is a slight delay when it builds the meter, all right? Doesn't mean that's really a bad thing, it's just something to kind of take note of, that when you drift the other way, it does build. Another thing, let's see, what else? Okay, and let's see, what am I going to try and do? Let's see, drift too fast. Oh, yeah. I got some notes here, so I'm just trying to check off everything. So, when you're chain drifting, you don't want to do this. Drift left, drift right, drift left, drift right. Like, look how little it's building. Like, if you do it too fast, your meter doesn't build, because you're stuck in that delay sweet spot, okay? So just keep that in mind. You kind of got to get the full, you drift to the right, let it build, left, repress drift button, let it build, and so on, okay? So you got to get used to being able to do it so you don't swing your car left and right too fast to where it doesn't build a drift meter. Otherwise, it doesn't do you any good, all right? So yeah, I believe that is that part. Let me see here. Sharper drifts too long, sustain changes. Okay, I think that's going to do it for that. So I'm going to do one lap really quick just to kind of show you what it does, or what I'm doing. Right, left drift, straight, kind of right drift, go around, just one drift, another one drift, a left drift, a right drift. So you don't have to go left and right through turns. When you're in a turn, just do the one single drift. It's really on the straightaways where you want to do the chain drifting, okay? You don't want to be like in a left turn and then a right and then a left. Don't do that, okay? You want to just go, like if it's a right turn, you just want to drift that direction, okay? Don't try to chain drift through a turn, okay? That's really counterproductive, okay? It's just on a straightaway where the chain drifting is helpful, because that way you don't have to keep doing small little drift boosts. You get more for it when you do the chain drift. Oh yeah, the other thing I did want to mention, you don't want to chain drift too long, because the whole point is you want to keep your speed up, all right? You don't want to not release a drift and just keep drifting back and forth just keep building that meter, trying to max it out while you're not even getting any speed boost yet. You really want to have get a speed boost in, and then once you get like a small speed boost in or some kind of boost in, then you can chain like left and then right and then release it. Like maybe 2, no more than 3. You don't want to chain it more than 3 directions, okay? So if you got if you just release like a big bunch of speed and you're immediately building another one, the maximum would be 3, okay? But if it's going to be but that's if it's going to be like shorter drifts. If it's going to be longer drifts, you wouldn't want to go more than 2, okay? More than 2 if you're chaining. So that's 1, and then that's 2, okay? Just kind of throwing that out there as a quick small tip with that. I was actually going to save that for the next part because I am actually going to start explaining some more tips and more tips relating to drifting now. But that's basically how you chain drift. It's very similar to like repressing your button in the other direction, like you're straightening out to snap back, but you're just pressing and holding the button. One thing I did fail to mention is you want to get into the habit of always holding your drift button, because there's going to be times where you're going to want to hold your drift button down while you're doing other tricks and things, and throughout this tutorial you're going to understand why, but it is a good habit to kind of hold your button down the whole time. So when you repress and let go, you just want to make sure that you're holding that drift button as much as you can. Anytime you do a new drift or whatever, hold that drift button. I can promise you that it's a good habit, because you're going to understand why throughout this tutorial when I start really explaining more. Okay, so now this part is done for the chain drifting. I am now going to start going over more tips and tricks and suggestions with